Hi, everyone. Thank you very much, BBSG, for giving me this opportunity to be here and to be part of your very progressive and innovative way of coming out into phase two. I'm right now in this incredible setting where it feels like a studio, and I've got a great team of people here supporting this to make sure that everything goes smoothly. So let me just give a brief introduction of who I am. I'm Louisa. I am a parallel entrepreneur. Apart from being the managing director of DP Dental, I'm also I manage Progressive Practice, which is our education arm. And I also sit on the board and council of ASME and Connected Women. So I am a Gen X entrepreneur, and I believe that as a Gen X leader, we are the bridge for the millennials and the baby boomers, and we have a lot to share with the world at this point. So for me, I believe in the importance of healthcare and education, and I'm here to revolutionize these two aspects. I'm also a speaker, a coach, and a consultant. A little bit of this story. So this is the school that the MC Daddy is also an alumni of. So this is a picture of myself and my husband, Dr. Yuing Chu. So he's my partner in life, but also my partner in business. But we actually met and have been together ever since we were in school in 1991 in Hua Chong. And the next picture on the right is one where you can see that's us at one of the most memorable moments in our career as an entrepreneur, because that's when we won the Entrepreneur of the Year award. And I think for me, what I have been practicing is what I call couple entrepreneurship. So there is a magic when two people come together, and the maths equation of 1 + 1 suddenly becomes 3. And so you can imagine that if this is what a couple can do, actually, if you have a solid team behind you, that magic is even more exponential. And so today, I'm going to share a little bit about culture, but before that, a little bit about DP Dental. We interact a lot with technology. We are a very progressive dental practice. This is just a portion, like maybe 1/3 of my team. And but really, what is culture? I think that is what we are here to explore, because it's such an intangible thing, isn't it? So to me, culture is kind of like, to use an analogy, it's like branding. So for branding, it's not something that you can say, I want my brand to be this, and then it will be. No, it's how other people perceive of you. So likewise, culture has to be curated, and it's always in a constant flux. But I'm going to share with you that there are actually 3 very main components that make up culture. And the first is philosophy. So you have to know and own your philosophy, and with that clarity, then you're going to attract the people that's going to come and join you, and then out of that, magically, a purpose will emerge. So let me just dive in a little bit more. Okay, so with philosophy, that's about your beliefs, your core values. So at DP Dental, we have a Mandarin name, and it's called Cheng Xin Ya Ke. So this is actually a calligraphy sculpture that I commissioned my uncle, Mr. Chua Boon Ki, to do, and it sits very proudly in our Coven practice. And Cheng means honest, ethical. Xin means core, and it actually epitomizes the very values that DP Dental would like for the world, for our patients, for our customers. So some of the core values that we have, we believe that the body is a systemic whole. We didn't emerge, as like a robot, right? We weren't like robots that were manufactured with parts made in China or India and then assembled in Singapore. No, we evolved from one cell that's continued to split and then became very intelligently into other cells of other function. We believe very much in solving problems at the root cause. We believe that what nature has given us is always the very best. And so for me, all along, it has always been about how do we integrate DP Dental's philosophies into treatment modalities, but then also how do we congruently make it into, how do I congruently turn it into my management and how the team is led? Because we need to achieve congruence in what we do. So, for example, when we want to treat the body as a systemic whole, so in dentistry that we practice, we look beyond the teeth and the gums. We look at the whole body. We look at the tongue and how it's affecting the airway. We look at how, if that is affected, your sleep at night is affected. So when you consider all these, then really you are quite close to getting the root cause of a lot of health problems. For the team, so how I have been looking at, how the body works as a systemic whole, I extend that, to my team culture. So for me, it is about recognizing that every team member is operating in that whole, and that, the whole is definitely always exponentially bigger than the parts that it's come together. So solving problems at the root cause. So like I mentioned earlier, when you recognize that airway is key to everything, that becomes the head of the hydra. So just a little tip that all of you can be practicing. At DP Dental, we advocate tongue up, lips closed, and breathing through your nose. So speakers are usually talking all the time, and we are actually breathing through our mouths, habitually even. So all the more we need to be breathing slowly through our noses. And with the team that I lead, how do I apply this philosophy? Well, for me, it is that when something goes wrong, right, we question the process. I ask about what is it in the system that we have right now that led to that mistake. And so then how do we go back, right, and solve that problem at the root cause so that it won't be repeated ever again? What nature has given us is the best. Please trust that what you have is the very best, that no man-made intervention is ever going to outlast that. So hence we practice minimally invasive dentistry. We do non-extraction orthodontics. We prefer Invisalign over veneers. We do laser disinfections over extractions. But with the team that I lead, that same belief actually permeates too. And what I really want to share with everyone is that every one of you have a gift, and every one of us are geniuses in our own rights. It's just that every single one of us have got different strengths that as a leader in your company, I think that is our main role. It's to really sit down, listen, discover the strengths of the people who are working with you in the business, and put them in roles where they can shine. And then you can really have a winning business. And let me share with you a little bit about DP Dental's growth timeline, because yesterday I was having a chat with Daddy when I came over here for the rehearsal, and I realized that there are actually many of you have got businesses that are of very different growth stages at this point. So some of you may be like me, where I've been running a business for the past 15 years, but honestly, I have no MBA. Okay, I actually paid a lot through all the multiple businesses that I have tried, and trust me, I have failed too. So, and I had to learn from my mistake. My mistakes all along the way. So for me, I felt like I should go back and look back at this 15 years of my experience as an entrepreneur, and perhaps try to grasp a little bit about the phases. I was trying to recall the phases that I've been through, because I realized that some phases are really some things that people really have to just go through. And but I hope that in sharing with you the lessons that I have learned, I really hope that you would actually also benefit from this. So We started in 2006. We bought over an existing practice. At that time, it was just one chair practice. I had 5 team members, and I called that my startup phase. So during my startup phase, I knew nothing about dentistry. I was an English language and literature teacher, and it was really because we had to borrow money from my parents. We put in our life savings, so this practice has to work. Okay, and in fact, we bought over a 2-chair practice, and the previous owners, really amazing mentors of my husband's, he actually took back 1 chair, so we only had 1 operating chair, and we had to put in a massage chair in the other room, for whitening treatment, and that was how we started, with a team of 5. But what I realized on looking back on, what I realized was that this team of 5 was an inherited team. So they weren't people that I picked, but I was very grateful for them because they had all the experience of running a dental practice, of how a dental practice should work, and so I learned a lot from them. So at that time, if I had to hire somebody, I was so hungry for people with aptitude, with experience. If you knew more than me, you're hired, because I needed to learn. I needed to learn so much. I remember even then that, for the Yellow Pages, that was the time of Yellow Pages. Those thick phone books that you now use to stand on if you're not too tall enough. But then again, maybe they're even obsolete now, right? Everything's gone online. So those are the days of the Yellow Pages. And I remember that, everyone was featuring dental chairs, their practices, their beautiful practices. But the funny thing was that everything was devoid of people. There was nobody in there. Or at most, you would see the dentist, or the doctor, but none were featuring the team. And I thought that was really odd, because doesn't the whole team, the doctors, the nurses, the front office personnel, don't they all make up the team that's serving the customers? So that was then when I think that was the first step where I realized that we were breaking some mold there, when we actually gathered people together in a studio and got my wedding photographer to do a photo of us with the whole team, and we proudly displayed it in the Yellow Pages and later on our website. And I think that was the start of how I came to realize that people were my greatest assets, and if there's anything I had to do to build the business, it was to really concentrate and in valuing the people that I have around me, in nurturing them, in guiding them, in listening to them, in helping them discover their strengths, in what they're good at, and in not even be worried about, dropping their current whatever role that they're doing, and helping them evolve and nurture into a new role. I even have in the past created roles for people that never existed before, because I found that if that was their strengths, then let's do it. Let's put them in a place where they can flourish, they can bloom, they can evolve. But really, I can share with you though that over time also I have actually evolved people out of the organization, because I had a practice manager once, and I sent him for coaching courses, and he found his calling as a coach, and so he left and to pursue his dream. But that's okay, because by then I have set up a system already. He made sure that he wrote out all his roles clearly, and he made sure that he held the hand of the next person that was coming in, and then we move on. So I think the lesson learned from my startup phase was this: I had unrealistic belief that I could change people, and I kept the ones whose values were not aligned with me for longer than I should. I think the thing about when you value people, right, is that you really want to cling on to them, because you also have got relationships formed with them, and so it's hard to let people go. But really, what I want to share with you is that if you're very clear of your values, or maybe even the direction of where your business wants to go, then sometimes you must have that hard conversation, and you probably need to let some people go. remember, we can never change a person. The younger version of me, maybe 15 years ago, would always have this grand dream that I'm going to change. I mean, I used to be an educator, so I have this belief that I can mold lives, I can influence people. Well, the sad thing is that we can never change a person. That's the bad news. But the good news is that you can influence them to want to change themselves. Okay, but if you've tried your best, with some toxic individuals in your practice or in your business, or perhaps it's just that, really that they have a set of values that is really very far away from your own personal set of values, and so you just have to part ways. They just have to either go and set up a business that is of their values, and then you continue to attract people who share the same values as you. So came, I think, the period between 2007. So actually within 1 year span, we grew rapidly, and we even became a GST registered company. And at that point, we were starting to have a lifestyle business. So for those of you who are in the dental trade business, hear from me. If you want a lifestyle business, one that can allow you to just work a 3-day work week, a 4-chair practice is the best. Okay, have a team member of about 12 members or so. Okay, and it's a very comfortable. So someone actually once told me that if Jesus only had 11 disciples, it would just have been supper. So there is really a magic number as you're growing the team. There is a very comfortable zone of about 12-ish, less than 15, where everyone can work very well together. And then there is and if you have the systems in place, everything is self-running, and you can work on the business, not in the business, because everyone, all the roles are covered. So then came my wandering phase, though. I think those of you who are entrepreneurs like me would know that once things get very comfortable, that is when you realize that you wander off. And so I even started became a sub-franchisee. I even owned a business there. I was running some other person's brand, and I actually had a cortisol moment where I remember that moment when my team was calling me, and I was running an art studio at that time and the practice, and the front office person was having a fever and couldn't come, and one of my teachers were also down and out and had to be on MC, and I had to be at 2 places at once. So the lesson I learned from this was that if you want to diversify your businesses, please don't go too far out of alignment, and keep to your core business, or at least keep to businesses that are synergistic to one another. And then the growth phase. Okay, in 2014, we grew the practice, and suddenly we jumped from 15 members to close to 30. And I think that was when I realized that, wow, at that point, we actually had a very stable culture. But when you onboard too many people at once, wow, that was when it was really scary, because there were new people coming in, and your original beautiful culture started getting mixed. And there were, experiences that people were bringing from their other businesses or their other previous practices that they were kind of injecting into what you already have. So that was when I really, really learned the lesson that culture is not something that I stipulated, that I wanted. It really ultimately is made up of the people that you have on the team. So when you grow too quickly, make sure you have a really solid onboarding program. You have a really solid orientation. You pair them with mentors, that they could, they could really guide and influence. But for me, ever since then, we learned not to just suddenly onboard too many new people. And hence, now we have this rule where we literally, we never stop hiring. Okay, but we continue to focus on the well-being of the team, and we let that grow organically, and really we will always be having people come to us and recommending their friends or yeah, and that's how we have been. Like we literally, the right person often just appears at, when you most need it. And really it's because of all that reputation, I guess, that we have created in being, a very warm and family-like atmosphere in our practice, but where we invest in the growth and the learning of our people. So I'm mindful that we started a little late, so I'm going to really zoom through the remaining part of my sharing. Okay, so what's the next phase? Okay, I think for me, the advice that I have for entrepreneurs is that I have this saying that I think I still have up on my Twitter post, and that is that as an entrepreneur, you're almost like you're on a travelator, okay, that is going backwards. All right, and so you have to keep walking. You have to keep walking, and actually, when you keep walking, you only realize that you're just where you are. So literally, you have to walk very fast, or you have to run even. Okay, and that's how you get ahead of your competitors. You get ahead of other businesses, or you get ahead of yourself. Because honestly, we are such a progressive practice. We view ourselves as our own competitors. So every entrepreneur is literally running two businesses: the business of today, that you are in operation mode, and make sure you have a really great team to look after it. And then the business of tomorrow, where you have to always gaze far out into the future and even predict what is going to happen and disrupt yourself before others do. So I have touched on philosophy and how it has affected us. I've touched on our growth phase, and I hope that you have learned some important lessons that I have learned, and perhaps make a lesser of a mistake that I have made. People are definitely very key asset in building a culture. I think I have reinforced that far enough. This is my team at the award. And these are all the activities that we do. Actually, if you notice, right, we involve a lot of our the family members of our team in all our events too, because I feel like, talking about, people always ask about work-life balance, and they say it's such a tiring thing. It's an impossible thing, especially if you're a woman and you're a mother and you're a businesswoman or you're working for, and when we're in a situation where we actually even spend more time with our colleagues than with our own family. Of course, the past 2 months has changed that, and we probably all baked a lot of breads and had very good time with family. Although personally, my son's home-based learning actually made me more stressed than work itself. So, but we involve the family, and so that actually work and life becomes an integration. Patients are at the center, at the core. I really hate it when people use the word boss on me, because to me, bossy isn't a very good, doesn't have a very good connotation. So I always tell, like, if you really have to find a boss, a person whom you think is going to dictate you and what you do, then please, our clients, our customers, our patients are our boss. Okay, we exist to serve them, to solve their problem, to give them the best customer experience so that they will tell everyone else. So referral to me is the best form of marketing, and it's a sustainable marketing tool too, okay? Because it makes sure that you are very good in what you're doing, so that people will keep coming back and referring more people. So these are our core values. If you are very caught up with what you need to do, how do you start listing your core values? Then I would suggest, come to our page or look up for DP Dental Careers, and you'll find us there, because this has actually become a way of how we recruit people. We talk about the values that of whether they are aligned to any of these values. I flinch my list from Tony Seah of Zappos. So, you look out everywhere of existing lists and then tweak. That's one way of how you can come up with your core values. So it's helped us with our recruitment process. And it also then, I think this quote is a very good one from Netflix. They have a freedom and responsibility culture deck that if you're free, do have a look at it because it's pretty sensational. And it says there, the real company values are shown by who gets rewarded, promoted, or let go. So if you're like me, a mature company at 15 years, by now you would have already discovered what are your own personal values, what are your company's values, and from there, that becomes the guiding pillar for everyone. And you can always have that conversation with your team, that feedback session with your team, always harking back to those values. So, purpose. I'm going to zoom this right through. We can just focus on this on the slides. I'm just going to read from it. Okay, Simon Sinek's Start with Why got everyone misunderstanding that we all need to start with purpose. However, my realization is that you cannot find purpose. It finds you. Start with yourself. Start with our acceptance of ourselves and our understanding of what our strengths are. Then be congruent. Then it's about really aligning what we do with who we are, our values, and what we like to do, our skills. Then let that experience flow, because when you are in the elements, work no longer feels like work, and that purpose is revealed. Your why will emerge with clarity. So for me, the future will be powered by purpose-led businesses. My biggest purpose is to be a leader in the healthcare and education revolution, to move to a world, where the current sick care model will disappear and we'll have a true healthcare and wellness model. So I would like to just invite you to join me also on Planet Congruence. It's a new group that I just set up, inspired by this invitation, that perhaps some people are still struggling with knowing what are their strengths, so what are their personal values, so that they can actually be creating this list of values for their company. So perhaps I can guide you, and so this is now a Facebook group that I just started a few days ago and probably has 3 people in it, but you can search it out on Facebook and join me there. That QR code actually leads you to a survey, a complimentary survey that you can do that generates a strength report for yourself. So just to share with you, by coming and attending this talk, and I think we have probably close to 100 people, you have also helped kickstart an education for a child in Cambodia through DP Dental's partnership with B1G1 and This Life Cambodia. So let me know if you'd like to find out more also about B1G1 and how, they're a conduit. They tie the NGOs on one hand and small businesses on the other hand, and they encourage us to have that whole giving habit flowing through as you're doing your business. Because trust me, are more and more aware of the commercialization of things, and we have to align ourselves with that whole bigger purpose. And the millennials especially, they are very mindful of the climate, of all, just look up the UN SDGs, of all the problems in the world. And I think, this present COVID moment is actually an excellent reset button for all of us to really wonder. I think one of the best things that came out of COVID was that Mother Earth got to rest. The turtles were coming on the beach to lay eggs. The air quality around Beijing cleared up tremendously. So really, I think this is a sign. Let's take this as a sign of rebirth, right? Of really reconsidering what we want to do with our lives. And so now we're moving on to Q&A. I really hope that you would be connecting with me at Louisa at dpdental.com.sg. Find me on LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm pretty active on social media. I've got tons of Facebook groups that I've set up, but I hope that you'd join me also on Planet Congruence, where we go together and we discover the universe inside of you. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Louisa. Thank you so much for such an inspiring speech. And I also want to share with you guys that it seems like DP Dental is more than just a place where you get your teeth fixed, right? Maybe I can invite Louisa back and, can you share a bit more on what other things DP Dental does?
I think in any business, you realize that you have to have a unique proposition. You have to be playing in the blue ocean. So right at the beginning, for us, technology was the blue ocean. And then we realized also that, well, in dentistry, as a dentist, when my husband was learning in the university, well, the whole healthcare has been divided, right, into parts, and then there are different specialists taking care of the different parts of your body. But what really is missing sometimes is stepping a step outside of that, and it actually, in order to do that, it requires a lot of collaboration of all the different individuals, of all the different specialists. And so what we are realizing is that your airway is actually a major culprit, So we're realizing that a lot, because we want to solve problems at the root cause for our patients. And then what we are realizing is that when they are not breathing well, when their tongue is not up against the roof of the mouth, they are actually literally affecting the sleep. 50% of kids diagnosed with ADHD out there, actually it just could have been a sleep-related issue. And Singaporeans are notorious for sleeping late, for not having enough sleep. Please do respect the circadian rhythm that your body has. And if you really treasure that quiet moment, right, so that you can do work peacefully, don't do it at 2 a.m. Okay, go to bed early and then wake up at 4 or 5 a.m. And that would really give that body, that opportunity to regenerate and rest.
Thank you, Thank you, Louisa. Right, and I also want to give a shout out to everyone here who are in the Zoom. Right, it's a time for us to open up the floor for Q&A. So I have the chat here with me on my phone. So if you have any questions at all that you want to ask Louisa, please type in the questions here. Right, I see some questions coming in already. Now, maybe Louisa, I can kickstart this because I do have a genuine questions as well. I run my own business to teach kids programming, and I have a team of 4 now. We are starting out, and wanted to ask you in terms of firing.
Yes.
Right? I mean, we talk a lot about winning culture and bringing the right people. What happened, and what kind of advice do you have when you have to let go of people, right?
I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier on that. It's always hard to let go of people, especially when you're building a family-based business where everyone is so close and works so closely knitted. To me, it's always about repeated conversations, having all these conversations and listening closely. But if you have that list of core values, right, the ones that you believe in and the ones that you want for your business, right, actually that conversation can be easy. Because you can just be looking at this, right, and say, this is what we believe in, and this is where we want to be headed, and you can list those examples, right, of where they have deviated from those core values, right. Actually, it can become that conversation where you can ease into recognition that the values are not aligned, and sometimes the person actually realizes it in themselves, and they actually make that leave themselves.
Good. Okay. Thank you, Louisa. We have a question here from Jan Lee. Right. Hi, Louisa. Initially, you mentioned that for a great culture, there's a sweet spot, a number of 12 to 15 packs. And what were your reason for doubling your number of employees? Was it more of like a business needs?
No, actually, I am an organic entrepreneur. Okay, so I never sit down and look at numbers and make business plans and make projections and all that. We grew because then opportunity came on, and we just saw that so literally there was a unit that came up 2 doors down, and the landlord asked, do you want to take it? And the unit before that, and so when we were doing pretty well, our clients loved us, and so we thought, yeah, why not? So but now on hindsight, I realize that I have finally reached, I skipped through that part. I finally reached a stabilization phase now at about 27 members.
Wow.
So there is a, but it took us 3 to 4 years to stabilize, because remember, I onboarded another 10 or so very quickly. So my lesson learned is that, you either keep it small and keep your lifestyle business, but if you want to grow, then just be mindful of onboarding people truly with that same value system as you.
Right. Thank you, Louisa. And I think you did mention that to create a winning culture, it has to come from the leader as well, yourself, right? And we just have that question from Christina coming in. Say that, how do you balance your personal and professional life? We all only have 24 hours a day, right? And yet you have so much to do and you set yourself so many priorities. How do you balance that?
You don't balance. Okay, you integrate. You cheat, you cut corners. All right, my personal friends are also my friends that I'm collaborating with in my business. I bring my kids, when my husband or myself are invited overseas for talks, and then we weave in the family holiday. Then work-life balance is such a myth, because when you're trying to balance, you're actually in a constant state of flux. This is what a good friend Nelson taught me, and it's a very tiring process. Right. That's why I asked for congruence. That's why I asked for you to be really aligned. The more aligned you are with your personal values, with your business values, and you're attracting all the people with the same values around you, everything can be a lot more simplified. Yeah.
Right. We have another question, thanks Louisa, regarding COVID period, right?
Yes.
How do you get connected and stay connected with all your staff during this COVID period where there's no physical interaction?
Actually, I've been Zooming. I think Zoom is going to be like the #1 word of the year
for 2020.
for 2020, because I don't want COVID to win. Well, I have been Zooming already before that, because with my other education platform, actually, we had been using Zoom to connect with the regional doctors that we serve. And so, when it came to the circuit breaker, Zoom was a lifesaver.
Yes.
So we had so many constant team meetings and all. And if you want to actually, have more collaboration, you can try MiroBot. Yeah, so we were really trying to stay connected, but through Zoom.
Right, thank you. And I think we make do and adapt as well, right?
Yes.
Just another question here from Eugene, the SEO king, right? What makes you want to do a dental practice despite not knowing anything about it? I understand that your husband is a
Yes,
dentist
my husband's
himself,
a dentist.
right? Was there apprehension from your side to be able to guide, and lead this business as well?
No, I think, like I said, when we put in our savings, we borrowed money from our parents. We just had to make it work, and definitely there's also a push factor. I was in education. I was an educator, and as you know, our current education system doesn't actually allow people's actually original geniuses, the real creatives are actually being quite smothered in our education system. And so I had I had my limitations also in what I could do in education. So I think another thing is this, for me, I have a personal belief. I can be anything I want to be. When I was young, people always ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I actually don't know. And I think it's because or rather because of that, because of not knowing, I just told myself, I can be anyone and anything I want to be as long as I keep having that zeal and passion for learning.
Right.
Yeah, if there's a career that pays, that I would love, if there's a career that I could have, it would be to be a lifelong student. And I think I am one. I think as an entrepreneur, I own the business. I actually now have the liberty to go and sign up for all the courses, and the learning. And there are also great organizations like BBSG who make sure, right, Glenn, making sure that you have all these, learning taking place, right, where we can teach one another and learn from one another and grow. So I think, to me, there's nothing to be ever afraid of, and going into something new as long as you have that attitude. And that's the attitude that I have when I hire people too.
Yeah.
The first question I ask is that, are you willing to learn? Yes.
Right. Okay, maybe we just one last question from Fatima saying that, are you satisfied with whatever that you're doing at this point?
Yes. I
Okay.
I did my strengths test, you know,
Yeah.
and gratitude came up as my core significant strength, and I think it is that ability to be grateful and happy and contented, and you know, to just look at all the small things that you're winning in and counting those blessings despite all the other pressures and all the other hardships. I mean, the dental business suffered in the past 2 months. Glenn was just asking me, how is business? You're essential, right? But
Yep.
we're essential, but we couldn't see a lot of people. And so the regulators were restricting us on that. But we held our head up. We got the team really together. The team really came together and said, how can we help? Can you give me a laptop so that I can do something? You know, and I think look at all the small little wins in your life and be grateful and happy for them. And you'll find that you're in a very good place.
Right, thank you. Gratitude, right? And thank you so much, Louisa, for the sharing. And I think that we need more leaders like, more business leaders like Louisa as well. And I hope that her sharing have inspired all of you here who are listening and dialing in from Zoom as well as Facebook Live to be, to inspire and to create winning cultures as well. Now, I'm just going to quickly invite our chairman, right, Glenn Lim, to pass a token of appreciation to Louisa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Louisa.
No, thank you for having me.
I wish I can shake your hand, but we can't. Thank you so much.
Thanks for, thank you.
Can we take a quick shot?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you.